Hey, and welcome to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes a show business. Each weekday morning, we talk with different business professionals from a variety of different industries and a variety of different success levels. So if you've been listening to this program and you're a business professional and would like to come onto the program, go to tbsinterview.com for more information on the program. Again, tbsinterview.com. Today, we're going to be talking about leadership. My guest today is Andreas Jones. He is a business and leadership consultant with Battle Tested Leadership, and you can learn more at that site, battletestedleadership.com. So, Andreas, welcome to the program today.
Thank you for having me, Jamie.
So, first off, just tell me a little bit about your background and how you became a business owner with Battle Tested Leadership.
Absolutely. So, a little bit of my background is I was born in Jamaica. Quick background in Jamaica. It's an island with a population of about 2.6 million people with a 85% poverty rate. So as you can imagine, opportunities were very limitless. And so my parents decided to, work for themselves. So my mom had a restaurant and my dad had a repair shop. So my parents are small business owners, and that's how they made a living to take care of me and my 5 brothers.
And so you were implanted with the will of entrepreneurship at a young age. Your parents were business owners in Jamaica, correct? And then so yes. You come to the States. Did the business ownership transfer over to the States? Did you come over with your parents? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I actually moved over with my dad. Moved over at age 17. We went off into the U.S. Army. Served in the Army for about 9 years. Did a tour in Afghanistan, a tour in Iraq. So that was a good development for me personally and professionally to where I was able to learn leadership and responsibility and self-ownership from a very young age.
Well, thank you for our service in the United States military. I myself wished I'd went into the military. I considered it at coming out of high school, and I kind of one of my regrets in my life. So I commend you for having the wherewithal for going into the military, and because I do believe it does teach people leadership and respect. And I've interviewed over 1,200 different people on this program. I could see a clear difference between the people that have been in the military and the people that haven't. Just the decor and the way they present themselves is so much more professional after they've been through the military. What is your opinion on that?
Absolutely. It's ingrained in you. I think that's the most important thing that we learn in military, just take ownership with yourself, take ownership with your results. And I think that just transfers into every area of your life, the ultimate, extreme ownership, as they like to say in the Navy SEALs.
Right. And were you a Navy SEAL?
No.
What was what branch were you in?
I was in supply chain and military police.
And did a tour in Afghanistan. So we're glad you came back in good shape and everything, and then now going through the ranks of entrepreneurship. I talked a lot about this program, though, that a lot of military professionals struggle with that adjustment into the life of entrepreneurship because they're used to that structure and that discipline that the military offers to them. How were you able to make that transition? And do you think that you're as a child seeing your parents as entrepreneurs helped prepare you for that?
Yeah, I think that experience uniquely qualified and prepared me for entrepreneurship, and that I've been around it so long. I worked for my parents' businesses as for my summer job, so that's what I did for the summers. I worked to make some money and have fun. So I was used to the idea of trial and error and everything else that comes with entrepreneurship and business ownership.
What were some of the lessons that your parents taught you as a child working for them, and then some of the lessons then that you continue to develop in the military that helped prepare you for business ownership?
I think one of the most important lessons that I learned from my parents is standing out. Standing above the crowd. And at a young age, I didn't quite understand the full scope of what that meant. But being an entrepreneur now, it definitely makes sense. And I continue to develop that as my military experience has allowed me to, even stand above the crowd and gain some invaluable experiences and insights to be able to do that.
It's definitely difficult to stand out from the crowd. I struggle with that with my own businesses and my shows and stuff. It's a crowded pond out there with people, and trying to get your influence on others and get your message and your brand out there and heard. So you go into the military, you come out. Did you immediately go into business ownership? Talk to me about after you come out of the military.
Yeah, I actually started in customer service. So when I came out of the military, went into the customer service and kind of worked my way up in a corporate structure.
So what did you find out about corporate that you may have not have liked, or did you say, this isn't for me, I need to go into entrepreneurship? Tell me about that experience.
One of the things that I really didn't like or appreciated was the corporate politics culture, and there seemed to be a lack of ownership and leadership at all different levels throughout the organization.
And I'm sure coming from the military, that was a challenge, because that's a consistent message that I hear from returning veterans going into the workforce, is that the culture of the corporate environment is just so different than what they're used to with the order and rank and file that you see in the military. And so how many years then did you spend in the corporate environment?
About 7 years.
6 or 7 years, and then you said, I got to start my own business. Is that what led then the battle-tested leadership in your own business, or was there a stop in between?
So there was the idea came out of me wanting to be a better leader. In one of my jobs, I went to my director and said, I want to be a better leader. What do you suggest? And he gave me a book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. And, I read that book probably about 100 times now. And it really resonated with me. And I started following John Maxwell. Got into his mentorship program. I got trained and certified by him to teach his material. So that's how that kind of pushed me into the consultant entrepreneurship world.
Now, you mentioned a book by John Maxwell. I'm not familiar with him. Tell me, what was the name of the book? Tell me a little bit more about him, and for our audience, so they can get what you got from this book too.
Oh, absolutely. So John Maxwell, he's the number one leadership expert in the world. Ranked by Forbes, Inc., the American Management Association, just about any organization that deals with leadership ranks him as the number one leadership expert. And the name of the book was the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
And so that inspired you to start your own business then? Am I getting that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
To teach those principles. And so what I did, I married his principles with the military training.
And that led to battle-tested leadership, hence the name that you are battle-tested, spending 7 years, I think you said, in the military, tour in Afghanistan, coming back over here, making the transition from corporate environment, going into entrepreneurship. Now you're out there and helping other business owners and other business professionals as both a coach and advisor. So first off, tell me the type of person that you work with. Do you have a certain niche environment that you kind of cater yourself to?
Oh, absolutely. So I work with predominantly small business owners who have been in business over 3 years and kind of have an established, something established and wanted to improve it and wanted to make it better. And so I found my strengths my strengths and my experiences were great for those instances where there was already something established. I was able to go in, help them make it better, break it down, and just optimize whatever they have going to take them to the next level.
Now, a lot of
And, you
people
know,
go into the consulting business, and that's one of those industries that's very crowded. How did you develop those first relationships, those first sales? It's sort of like, how did you get credibility in the beginning? Because there's a lot of people out there in the consulting business or in business in general that struggle with that first year and getting those clients. How did you go about that?
So, absolutely. So, quick backstory. My first year in consulting world, I only had one client, and I had to kind of question is this the right move? So I hired a coach myself to help me kind of shift my messaging and kind of zero in on my target market some more. So in hindsight, what I didn't do enough of was enough market research to understand my market and what I was going after.
And so through the use of a coach, which I see a lot of consultants actually do, which in the beginning when I first started, kind of doing what I'm doing here with the, this business, show that, coaches hiring coaches to me seemed kind of strange, but now I understand it more. It makes perfect sense to me. And so they help kind of streamline your business, help you find your message, find your core, find your niche. And then what did you see then after the second year? You had one client in your first year. Talk to me about the second year.
Yeah, after I adjusted my messaging and understanding exactly who I wanted to work with, it made it easier for me to have conversations, and I started, offering pro bono clients just to get the familiarity with everything. And so I started out, doing some pro bono stuff, and so I gradually was able to shift that into paid opportunities.
Okay, got to take a quick break here. Currently talking to Andreas Jones. He is a business and leadership consultant, coach, and advisor with Battle Tested Leadership. Learn more, battletestedleadership.com. When we come back from the break, we're going to get into a discussion about what is it that makes a great leader and ways that he is able to help his clients excel in their business and help them become a great business owner as well. So you're listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
And welcome back to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. My guest today, Andreas Jones. He is a business and leadership consultant with Battle Tested Leadership based out of Atlanta, Georgia. Learn more at battletestedleadership.com. So, Andreas, let's talk about the traits of a good leader. And a question I always like to ask people that are in the field of dealing with other leaders is leadership something that can be taught, or is it something that's more innate in people?
It's thought and developed and practiced and mastered. So the myth is that it's something that's innate, which could be about 2% true for some people. But for the majority, it's a skill, it's a muscle that has to be worked and developed, and it's a discipline that takes time investment to get it right.
And there's differences between a good leader and a good manager, and those two areas of management are kind of muddied in the sense that you can be a great manager, but you're not necessarily a good leader. And so when you find people and you begin to consult with them, what are the areas that they are struggling with? Talk to me about like a typical intake session with somebody. What do you want to talk to them about, and what are you hearing from them and what their struggles are?
Absolutely. So the first thing and the most common thing that comes up is the vision casting. So they have an idea what normally I do a 360 assessment to see what the individual or manager or leader is saying and what their team is saying. And oftentimes those realities are not matching, which, as you can see, causes an issue. If, the manager leader thinking this is the way and the team is thinking something different, that creates chaos and miscommunication and misunderstandings all along the way.
Okay, so you take them through an assessment. What about like the DISC profiles, those types of training devices that are out there? Do you take them through that type of an assessment? Is this something proprietary that you have developed? Talk to me about that.
So I use the DISC profiles, but that's kind of a little later on. The first thing I do is that 360 assessment. So it's not only you giving feedback on your team, but the team gives feedback on you. So now you can understand, okay, I'm saying this and the team is saying this. Then there's obviously something is not aligned. And if the leader's vision and the team's vision is not aligned, then that creates chaos in the team. Affects performance and everything else in between.
And is it oftentimes that the leader themselves is at the core root of the problem? I'm sure you probably hear from them, all my people, I just don't have the right people in the right positions, or they just don't have the skill level, or I just can't find the right person for the job. Are those just excuses to mask their own improprieties?
For the most part. I would agree with them somewhat that sometimes you have the wrong people in the wrong in a position or in a position. So that does happen. But then as a leader, you have to be able to identify that to say, okay, how can I help you get to this place that better suits you? So leadership is, as I say, is a muscle, and so you have to kind of figure out what works best for it. So if you have someone in your team that you agree that they're not a good fit for your team, then you as a leader is to help them take the next step to find a place where they're going to be better able to utilize your strengths and skills.
Now, you say leadership is a muscle, and so I know how to exercise my muscles. Are there leadership trainings that you give people to help them exercise that leadership mentality inside their mind? How can I exercise that leadership muscle?
Yeah, so the first three, the core of leadership training that I teach is that the foundation of leadership is trust. The key currency of leadership is influence, and the most potent form of leadership is self-leadership. You have to be able to lead yourself. So that's kind of the core that I build and teach on to individuals and teams.
To develop trust, then when you have trust, you can influence. And what was that last step?
The most potent form of leadership is self-leadership, being able to lead yourself.
Lead yourself. I like that. I always considered the influencer level to be the highest, but you put self-leadership above influence. How is that higher than influence? I'm trying to understand that. Are you saying that leaders lead others, but they can't necessarily lead themselves initially?
I mean, that's a consensus. A lot of times you're able to cast a vision and hold meetings and whatnot. But when it really comes down to it, are you pushing yourself? Or are you spending so much time pushing others that you forget that you need to also develop yourself? And so a lot of times, even with small business owners, they spend so much time in the business that they forget that they themselves have to develop to grow the business with them.
I like that. Yeah. No, I like that.
The leader, the leader will never outgrow the business, but a business can outgrow the leader. So if the leader is getting better and better every day, then the business doesn't affect, it gets better and better. But if the business is growing and the leader is not growing, then you have an issue.
So as you begin to work with people, is there a certain like wall or barrier that you have to kind of tear down with them before you can start to make some advances with them that sort of, oh, I've already done that and didn't work, or it doesn't, I'm not going to do that. Talk to me a little bit about consulting people and those initial sessions and what it develops into.
Yeah, so I think the initial, the hardest barrier to tear down in those sessions is I've done that already, or I know what I'm doing. And, that just creates, tension in the sessions when you're trying to show someone, a different way, and they're so locked into what they know and what they have done before. And so the main barrier is to break down that wall of resistance to say, okay, I understand your way might work before, but this is a different way. And, I wouldn't be here if your way was working 100%. So.
Right.
That kind of fixes that sometimes.
And so what happens over time? Do people become more receptive to your inputs? And so after that wall was torn down, then they begin to, implement, your strategies and talk to me about some of the results that you've seen, some of the development of some of the clients that you've worked with at Battle Tested Leadership.
Yeah. So in breaking down that wall, one of the key things I try to do is to try to develop strategies around giving them 2 to 3 quick wins, so that and gets them engaged and say, okay, if I did that, then maybe this now is possible. So it's important to get quick wins in the process to not only prove that you're worthy of their time, because they're spending time with you, so you have to prove that whatever you're teaching, whatever you're showing them is working. So creating those 2 to 3 quick wins is so important. And a lot of time it creates, it builds the relationship, and that resistance kind of goes down when they see that, okay, he showed me this and it worked, then they're open to listen more and even go further in the process.
Now, the consulting business, again, a very crowded business, a lot of people stepping into the business right now. How do you differentiate yourself, or how do you go out developing new relationships? What is your best way of getting yourself new business? Is it referral? Is it certain marketing that you do? How do you generate business, and how are you differentiating yourself?
Yeah, so one of my key generators is my messaging. I try to stay away from industry terms and slangs and whatnot. If you go on my website, you'll notice that it's different from anything you've seen. And I specifically do it that way because I know who exactly I'm speaking to. And whoever, reacts to my website, they understand the message and get the message. So that creates for a better conversation. But another key thing that I do is I joint venture with other people. So someone has built an audience, you can borrow that audience, but you have to do that in a win-win situation. So a lot of times people come to me and it's all about what I can do for them, never what they could do. So my approach is what can I give to you first, and then in return, you can help me.
So talk to me about what Battle Tested Leadership has become. You said first year you had 1 client. Talk to me about what you're doing today, and where do you see your company in 5 years, and what's the development of your own business?
Yeah, so as of right now, I have clients in pretty much half the United States, clients in California, Vermont, Florida, here in Atlanta. So I'm able to kind of develop a national footprint. Mm-hmm. And in 5 years, I see seeing us growing to venturing out in the global space, making waves in the global space.
Well, very cool. Well, definitely, a good discussion on the program here, coming out of, your days in Jamaica as a young child and the lessons that you learned from your parents as entrepreneurs, the time spent in the military, and then learning that corporate work just isn't for you. Just something I learned myself years ago and stepping into the world of entrepreneurship. So, Andreas Jones, business and leadership consultant, coach, and advisor with Battle Tested Leadership. Thank you so much for being on the program with me today.
Thank you for having me.
And again, learn more at battletestedleadership.com. Can help you with your business struggles anywhere in the country with clients in over half of the United States with a military background as well. So I can always vouch for people coming out of the military, a very strong level of respect and influence from our United States military. And again, thanks to him for the service to our country. Learn more at battletestedleadership.com. Please connect with us all across social media. You find us on Facebook at facebook.com/That Business Show, and also on Twitter at That Biz Show. If you're on iTunes, please subscribe and please leave a review. It helps the program grow. And also find us across multiple podcasting platforms. We've made it easier to subscribe on your phone on an Android device now with the link to the Android applications. So again, new episodes each weekday morning at 9 a.m. thatbusinessnetwork.com, and then made available on demand at the end of the week on iTunes and on YouTube. So again, you've been listening to That Business Show 2.0. I'm your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.